I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 2, I think. On Crunchyroll, it says 25 and then 26. And then the title card last episode said 25. So I don't know what's happening, but I'm loving it. I'm really glad to be back in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's not the time I expected in that world, but it's a time I'm happy with.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the person that put together this past tense Jujutsu Kaisen Big 3. I mean, I think they were in a silly, goofy mood.
Mm-hmm.
They were scrolling through the roster. They were like, what's better and more intimidating than a team of people with names that are 4 to 5 letters that all rhyme?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about it that way.
They were in a silly, goofy mood, and I really appreciate that.
Huh. What, Gojo?
Geto.
Shoko. Interesting. 2-syllable team.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think about it that way. I'm now going to appreciate the season that
you
much
better
more.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
that
just
much
because
more.
of that
just
one reason. Yeah.
Not because of that Utahime scene that we were raving about last episode.
No, nor about star plasma
this.
vessels or the curse user Q or the time vessel association.
None
or,
of that matters
another
anymore.
Fushiguro. Just solely the fact that these 3 characters in this squad all have 2 syllables in their names, and they all kind of rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There you go.
You ready?
There you have it.
Sweet. Okay, that was Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 2, Episode 2. First thing I want to talk about is the use of reversed curse energy.
Yes.
Because we got that Shoko was able to use it, and her description was very similar to how Hinata from Haikyuu describes things.
Yes. Whoosh. Bang.
Yeah. But it sounded like in the context of how they were talking about it, it could be used to heal, which is something that we kind of saw, I think, in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. Mm-hmm. Like the ability to heal using reversed cursed energy, which is a nuts ability to have.
And we also, at the end of the episode, get this really awesome example of showing us exactly where this Gojo is in comparison to our season 1 older Gojo.
Yeah.
He couldn't do red. It failed.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but he also has this like very outward confidence that he can then use as like a fake out to people.
I mean, he's still incredibly strong. He's stronger than everybody else.
Yes.
Because he has the 6 eyes and limitless technique.
Yes.
Which we've heard limitless, but I don't think, I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. I don't think I've heard 6 eyes before.
I don't think I have either. I honestly feel like someone could make a class
of
about this show.
Kaisen, yeah.
And like, I feel like that description that Gojo gave at the end, right before he beat the man with the bag on his head, and his glasses were kind of what was showing us visuals.
Yeah.
And he was describing what he could do with the apples. I feel like I could have taken a class and that was like a lecture and I needed to take notes.
Yeah. But you know what it also did, potentially, made his ability stronger by explaining it to this person.
Yes.
Which is one trait I loved from the first season of this show. So Fushiguro, we got a couple things this episode. Sorcerer Killer.
What a
reminds me of Stain.
Name.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm just like, okay, how many names does he have in his book, like that he's already crossed off? Like how many kills does he have? How many kills does anybody have to be given the name Sorcerer Killer? Or did he come up with it himself?
The idea of a killer.
Yeah.
Like a bounty hunter that's like a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Like that kind of whole idea of like someone who is like, the same, but then kills. It's so cool.
Well, it's so cool, but it also like lets you know how strong they are right off the bat. Because if you know Jujutsu sorcerers to be one of the pinnacles of strength in this universe, then, and you know that there's grades to them, and then somebody comes along with the name of Sorcerer Killer, you obviously know they're able to kill various different grades of sorcerers, and therefore they themselves are incredibly strong without even showing what they're made of yet.
But we're like in this limbo in terms of trying to figure out where Fushiguro stacks up to even like the current Gojo, because he, when asked if he could beat Gojo, he does not answer the question. He is distracted by the gambling that he's doing. He doesn't answer it. We know that he's trying to tire out Gojo.
Just smart.
Is that just a lackadaisical, I don't need to do the heavy lifting?
I don't know.
I'm not going to do it? Or is it, he is actually a formidable foe to me, and so I'm going to need to wear him down in order to have an effective strategy here against him?
To me, it comes across as just like intelligence and awareness of like actual awareness of who this person is. It reminds me of in season 1 when Geto was talking to, what was his name, Jogo, the guy with the volcano head, and he was like, no, we need a plan to come up to like take Gojo off the board. And then we got the other end of things, Jogo being like, oh no, he couldn't be that strong. But when I'm hearing Fushiguro here talk, the sorcerer killer, I'm like, okay, it's like a level of intelligence that Geto had in season 1, and awareness that Gojo is nothing to like even, like you don't even want to leave anything up to chance, which is fucking crazy to me, because it's his whole personality we got this episode was leaving things up to chance and betting and like gambling.
Which is like a through line of Gojo to Fushiguro in this episode. Also, I now have identified one of the ways that Geto has changed. In season 1, he's like, we need to have a plan. In this current happening, past tense Jujutsu Kaisen, he's like, oh, I bet you were thinking up a bunch of plans in your head. Well, they were meaningless.
Yeah. I am just kind of like dumbfounded that Megumi exists right now. Because in my headcanon, when I was trying to put things together, I was like, okay, we know that Megumi and Gojo have a very close relationship. Is this going to end up at a point where, you know, that Fushiguro and Gojo are fighting at some point in the season or at a certain point in the story? And if, you know, Megumi's dad does die, could it be something like, oh, raise my unborn kid, or oh, like look after my unborn kid? But he's already born. Like he and what Fushiguro's just like, who, you know?
Honestly, we identified it during this episode. You did, specifically when we were watching Geto fight, where the man that was fighting him was like, he doesn't need to use a catalyst. And then you brought up like the hand signs that Fushiguro uses. It is possible that already Fushiguro is like, Megumi is like a disappointment in terms of like talent, and we
don't know how old he is.
Exactly, but maybe he already has like a disinterest in him because he doesn't think that he's going to be. I could see him being the type of father that would be disinterested in their child if he didn't think that they had potential to surpass him.
See, yes, but then at the same time I'm conflicted because it goes with that information of him taking his wife's name. And for some reason, when I'm thinking like, okay, you're taking your wife's name, like I'm like imagining like a family environment where you're gonna either have a kid or be okay with it. Yeah. So with that in mind, like where do you think the story's going to go in terms of like, okay, we know a bit of what's to come. We know a lot of what's to come.
We've even seen Gojo approach Megumi as a kid.
Yeah.
We've seen it, and I'm like, what's up, kid? I killed your daddy. Is that the conversation that is going to happen by the end of this? Is like Fushiguro and Gojo actually fight? Okay,
so like in my perception of this right now, it doesn't matter like what's to come, because I think some of that is already like pre-established in my head, like Fushiguro probably dying or losing or whatever, because we don't hear of him in season 1. But I'm not really too focused on that at the moment. I'm too focused on, one, how it's going to play out and what Fushiguro's character is going to end up being like, the sorcerer killer. And 2, if our Megumi knows that his dad and Gojo fought. Like a current timeline, you know? Would
That's
that be something you tell? Because
It could
obviously
be just like an
Gojo knows.
understood. It could just be like an understood in the sorcerer world of like recounts of the great battles, if you will. Like,
Yeah.
uh, I think I'm just incredibly curious to see unfold Gojo with domain expansion, reverse cursed energy
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
first time. Like all of those firsts
Do you
and
think
us
we'll see
seeing
the
them.
firsts?
I think so. I think if they're going the route of showing us with him before he's kind of become the person that we know,
Yeah.
that they would show us those like first times for those things, those big moments. I mean, I remember how big they were in season 1 when it's obvious he had done it so many times before. It
Yeah.
was like ingrained in him that these are like his techniques and what he calls them. To see those first times, I mean, I feel like it's probably hard to write, but I want it. There's the desire is there to have it,
Well,
and
would
it'd
that
be big.
would that come out of just like him doing it again like he did here and it working, or would that come out of him being pushed to a limit? And if so, that'd be weird to see from Gojo. Like I'm so used to seeing like Gojo's like in my head the most dominating character in like any anime. Like in terms of
Honestly,
their
that's why it's
presence.
probably hard to write because we have this idea in our head, an expectation in our head of this character that would literally withstand anything
Yeah.
and could never be knocked down, or we can never see them at that unhinged breaking point we got of Megami in season 1 with that
Yeah.
giant smile. I could never imagine that same scenario for Gojo, and I think that's why it would be so incredibly hard to write and then give us this after we've seen him in action in season 1.
Yeah.
But that's also why I'd be so interested and excited to see it, because all it would really do, if written well, is inform who he is in the future.
So what do you think that Fushigoro's abilities are? Like, because it seems like Megumi's abilities are closely, like, in my head, I can compare them a little bit to Megumi and Geto. I can compare, like, abilities a little bit. Like, obviously, absorbing and manipulating them are much different than,
yes.
like, what Megumi's doing. But I wonder if there's any, like, similarities in technique between Fushiguro and Megumi.
Good question. I can't remember. I almost feel like I'm having the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Where it's that whole idea of I don't want to use this because it was from my father, but like, or like making something that was from your parent your own. And I could just be like putting a bunch of shows together, like My Hero Academia or something in there. So honestly, I don't remember having any actual explicit telling of Fushiguro and what he could do. I think that that's going to be a really exciting moment.
You know what I really didn't expect? Riko's, I guess, like her perception of what's happening in her head and how she like like how she was like Tengen is me and I am Tengen, and like this is my knowledge of it. I'm accepting of it. I just want to have a little bit of time with what I can with my friends. Like I didn't expect it going into this episode.
Right. After we left the first episode, I was like, oh, is this going to be a moment of pause or change in Gojo when he first encounters someone that something bad bad, quote unquote, to some people inevitably will be happening to this person, and he has that like internal dilemma because they will be basically losing themselves or dying, or we talked about it last episode, and that's how we felt, is like, oh wow, like that's really like sad. And if you start to care for this person and then suddenly they're going to have to basically hand over their body, their mind, and their soul to become this like eternal barrier to offer themselves to Tengen, like I thought that was going to be a moment of pause and like connection for Gojo's character, but to have the personality of Riko already be like, this is a freaking honor. Awesome.
It definitely makes things
like,
easier.
I'm impressive, and if anything, he's becoming me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like stupid a little bit that we didn't even consider that being the case last episode, because like it's totally reasonable and understandable. Like, okay, this is to like not even the whole Tengen is me, I am him, but this is to help and benefit like something way bigger than me. It's a very selfless act in a certain light.
Like you can be all like, oh, I'm impressive, or
Yeah.
like you're being told that you are this thing called a star plasma vessel. Like, even if you can't like brag about it to your friends, you are incredibly important. And while
Yeah.
that can go to your head to some extent, it can also like, I don't know, it can cause some positive feelings within you, but there's also that like slight sadness
Mm-hmm.
of, oh, I only have this limited time with my friends. We want her to enjoy this time with her classmates while she can. She definitely like, you know, her expression changed when Gojo was like, you don't want anything to happen here at the school when your
Yeah.
friends are here. It is really interesting. It subverted my expectations of what type of personality I was going to get from her. Like, I almost expected total damsel personality that's just sweet and soft, that
Just
like
from like what we've been
innocent.
set up with other animes, you know, like
Just like this innocent person that the other main characters are like, this person doesn't deserve any harm to come to them. They're just this soft, you know, almost probably surface level and empty though, actually, as a character personality.
yeah.
That's what I was expecting. Was just almost a device or vessel to hold that innocent character energy that you just want to protect.
Yeah, but she's cool. She's awesome. I like
She
her
has a
personality.
fire.
Yeah, I like it. I liked her reactions to Gojo too. It was really cool, and his technique.
Like, she was totally impressed for a bit, and then when he did red and it didn't work, she was like, this guy.
Yeah. His scene that he walked into the choir room and like everybody was like gushing over him. Oh my God, that's your boyfriend. He's from high school. And the teacher's like, you know, walking down the hall and it's like, and then just gives him her number. That was amazing.
And they gave me that really nice border, and they had like this flower petal energy. I was like, is this a shoujo romance anime?
It reminded me of
now?
the Juju Stroll when they came up to Gojo and they were like, quick, Fushigoro's getting hit on. And then like they all like played that like, oh no, I'm his lover. And then Gojo comes off with his jacket and he's like, Megumi-chan, you're late to violin practice. I loved it. It was great. So, and with Gojo too, it seemed like his eyes are capable of fully like reading the other person's technique to like the utmost detail, which is something I didn't really comprehend from last season, which is nuts. That's such an advantage.
I just feel like you can never get an edge on him. You could never sneak up on this guy. It's like eyes in the back of my head, eyes everywhere. Like, I know that we have an example with Geto in this episode where this person crashes through the window. We get that little like peek in the composition of being able to see his eye widen at this person crashing through the window. But really, he anticipated something like this and was fully ready. Had the man's dead dog appear to him.
Oh,
well, like life flashing before your eyes. Obviously, he didn't like create it. I thought for a second that he was like created, an ability, and then I expected something really, really gross. Like it was actually going to be the curse, like at the beginning that was licking and wanting to kiss the guy. I expected that.
It was much more akin to what Itadori did to Toto. Like Itadori's words themselves, like. Just saying, like Jennifer Lawrence, Toto himself, like, flashed an imaginary life before his own eyes, you know? So it was very akin to that, but it was, like, the best part of the episode. That was amazing. Like, his realization of it, too, he was like, what is this? Oh, wait, it's, like, my entire life flashing before my eyes. I loved it.
There's this quiet confidence.
I missed the show.
There's this quiet confidence that Geto has, which really, like, it's nice to have these two characters kind of being almost like teammates but pitted against each other, of like rivalry of like who's going to be better, who's going to be stronger, whose ideals or ways to act or fight would win out. But it's like quiet confidence and then like this cocky attitude. But the quiet confidence, like one of my favorite examples of Geto's like quiet confidence in this episode was how we were at that pool and his face like didn't even change.
Yeah.
And he just goes like, Gojo, you need to get to her
Go
side.
to her.
Like he didn't even flinch. It was like, and then he just nonchalantly is like, two of them have already been exercised.
Yep.
But like we didn't even get an eye widen or flinch. Like he just kind of was like totally, I don't know, calm, cool, collected.
Dude, he's so cool. I love Geto so much. He even from the emotional side of things too. He had such a great line to that the person who's been taking care of the girl the entire her entire life and was like, "Oh, so you are family, right?" And I was like, "Oh my god.
What are you trying to do to me here with making me love Geto's character?
Yeah.
What are you doing to me?"
I'm assuming he's okay. Obviously, at the end, seeing that person tied up is very scary.
Cliffhanger, though. That's a good cliffhanger.
It is a great cliffhanger, but like he's so strong that I'm assuming he's okay. But at the same time, how do they get her? How do they tie her up? Is it fake? Is it like...
Is it fake is a really great question. I mean, we have a character that can clone. Why couldn't we have some type of like...
fake clone or something?
Fake clone mimic? As long if you've touched the person or a bit of their DNA, you could create...
Whose phone did it get sent to? How would that be possible? It'd have to be from her phone, right? Which makes me think it's not a clone.
But she could have dropped her phone.
Oh, true.
She did fight that guy with that mop.
Yeah, which was awesome.
But I really would
Such a badass.
I'd be really upset here going into next episode if Geto really was beat.
Yeah.
Because I want him to be a rival to Gojo's strength.
Yeah.
I'm like, if he's just... I wanted... This whole episode, I was like, haha, Fushiguro, you're just thinking about the fact that Gojo's there, but you're not thinking about the fact that Geto's there.
Yeah.
And I want that to be true. I want that to be like oh, shoot, you should have considered that there were other strong sorcerers protecting this girl.
That's true.
Don't underestimate
that acknowledgement of Geto, because honestly, the idea that he can absorb corpses is nuts, because then it makes me think, okay, what's the strongest curse? Yeah. Sorry. I wrote corpses, but what's the strongest curse that you've like come across, right? Like, could you hypothetically like absorb any of the stronger, like Rika from Jujutsu Kaisen 0? Like, can you encapsule them and then manipulate them to do your bidding regardless of their power level? And like depending on how strong you are,
that
and then
one
flipped
leech
and reversed.
That he has.
That's crazy.
That one, like, leech thing that he has is
the huge
so
one.
Scary looking. I don't like it.
I wonder if he could, like, take a curse away from somebody. Like in that, like, Rika comparison. Could you take that away from Yuta, hypothetically? Because it's not technically Yuta's. It's, like, the cursed, like, ring or whatever.
And if your whole... strength, your whole power is called manipulation, then I would have to assume that if you were strong enough, you could manipulate any
That's crazy.
No matter how strong, as long as you were stronger than it.
Yeah. Dude, I love this show so much. I don't want to wait until next week. It's so much fun to just... I wish I could binge the whole thing.
The music was really great.
You had a really good point this episode. It was great from the beginning, the symphony, but the idea of the girls singing getting louder and louder as Gojo is getting closer to the chapel. That was great. That was amazing. The music's so good.
There is nothing more like unsettling and building as choir singing in a show. That's like there was a lot of really great unsettling music and then like fun music, dynamic music that was happening at different moments, but that definitely I think took the cake.
My last thing I want to ask is when Rika was escaping the clutches of Gojo right after waking up, she slapped him in the face. Is that like Gojo letting it happen, Gojo not having that limitless on, or is Rico just like have that insane ability, or it's just played for like laughs?
I'm just gonna say that he is very confident in how the ladies view him, and I think it just surprised him that a lady would not want to wake up and be in his arms. Honestly, I think he just expected that she'd be like, "Oh,
take your glasses off." Okay. It was so quick.
Here's my phone number. It's hard to meet people when you're a teacher. I'm like, you're right, lady. It's hard to make friends. It's hard to meet people when you're an adult. You're right.
Oh, remember that piece of animation we got of all like the clones surrounding Gojo and we were looking at the reflections?
Oh yeah, the different, and we were seeing it in the office building. On
the left side of the building, there was like two, it looked like. It could just be like, but it's such a creative shot.
See, okay, so I thought it was the reflection, and it could totally be, but it could also be messing with us, because at the end, where does he find the real body? The main body is within that office building.
True. Huh.
It's all like a distortion to play with you with the clones.
So
but
cool.
also protect the main
I
body.
really like how they thinned and made Gojo's design look a little bit younger. It's not like drastically different or anything, but like it's just subtle enough to really hit the mark.
And I just love the glasses.
Yeah.
I love the
Glasses are a vibe. All right. That's all I have you.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.